Hello, everybody. This is the election predictor. Today, I will be doing my next presidential for 2024 presidential election prediction and 2022 Senate election prediction. Before I start, make sure to go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are so close to 200 subscribers, and I plan to do another big thing when we hit that milestone. So go over to subscribe. I promise you won't regret it. There's a lot of awesome content coming up, and I am in no rush, or I do not plan to stop making videos anytime soon. So go over and subscribe. You got nothing to lose. Anyway, we're going to get started into this election prediction. This is going to be a prediction, actually, between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. I do not believe at this point that Joe Biden will be running in 2024 for the presidency. I do not think that with his poll numbers and, frankly, with his age, I do not think that he will be the nominee for the Democrats in 2022. And I just don't think that he will run in 2022. I think that at this point, Kamala Harris is the most likely successor to Joe Biden, although it is yet to come. But at this point, I'm going to have to give it for Kamala Harris. And for the Republicans, I do think Donald Trump is planning to run again in 2024. And all polling and Republican primary polls show that he is definitely on track to become the Republican nominee in 2024 should he run. If he decides not to run, then it would be a DeSantis. But I'm going to have this versus Trump versus Harris. And a 2022 Senate election map as well. I will not be doing the governors in this video. That'll be a separate video. I just wanted to focus solely on the presidential map and the 2022 Senate map. At this point, my prediction will probably lean much more to the Republicans, given the momentum that they have built up over the 2021 off-year election cycle in New Jersey. Even though they lost that race, it was incredibly close for New Jersey, which is an incredibly deep blue state, and Virginia, which they won every single state race. They won the attorney general race, the lieutenant governor race, and obviously the governor race with Glenn Youngkin. That doesn't mean I'm going to have Trump win in Virginia, but that does mean that the map will definitely be focused more on a leaner. It'll be definitely more heavily sided towards the Republicans. Things change, but at this point, this is how I think the 2024 election would go. Without further ado, let's get right into the safe Democrat states. I still see the West Coast as being a safe Democrat state, as well as a lot of these East Coast states not particularly changing. Actually, I'm going to leave Connecticut out of it. I don't think that Kamala Harris has the best appeal, to be honest with you. I think it probably would have been better if Joe Biden picked a different Democrat nominee other than Harris, and I do think that will hurt them should she be the nominee in 2024. But, I just don't think she has much nationwide appeal compared to somebody else that, like Joe Biden, like even Bernie Sanders, who has appeal across the entire nation, that would actually be able to do, in my mind, better than Harris. I think that Sanders would do significantly better than Harris in a 2024 election, although I'm not sure that he will run again in 2024 with his age and with the fact that, he's lost 2 times in a row, so I don't think he'd want to do it again. But anyway, we'll continue with likely Democrat states. We'll go with Maine's first, Connecticut, New Jersey, and Colorado. I think Colorado still would be pretty significantly on Kamala Harris' side, although I'm going to leave Virginia and New Mexico out of it. I will not include Virginia and New Mexico in the Democrat characterization. Likely Republican for Donald Trump, that'll be Ohio, Iowa, Maine second. Texas, I see remaining likely. I do not see Kamala Harris doing well in Texas. I see Trump probably winning that by around 5 to 6 points, which is still in the likely category, although it's at the bottom of the likely category. And that is about it for the likely Trump category. Now let's get right into the lean Kamala Harris category. I see New Mexico still leaning Harris, Virginia still leaning to Kamala Harris. I'm going to give Kamala Harris Maine at large lean. I think that she'll probably still get that. They tend to vote more on the federal or the national ballot for Democrats, and on the statewide ballot for more moderate or Republicans, as you see with Susan Collins. Same with New Hampshire. Although, yes, they are more moderate states in the East Coast, Maine, New Hampshire, the more moderate ones, compared to stuff like Vermont, New York, Massachusetts. Anyway, we'll go to lean Republican states now. Florida will lean Republican. That is a state that is somewhat trending to the right with increased Republican support among Hispanics, especially in that state with Cuban Americans, Venezuelan Americans, Puerto Rican Americans. Great increase in support, as we saw with Miami-Dade County, where that shifted over 20 points to the Republicans in 2020 from Trump in 2016. That is a trend that will continue to happen. I don't know when it will stop. It hasn't shown any signs of stopping. And I do think Republicans will significantly do better in Florida should they run the right candidate. And I do think Trump is a good candidate. DeSantis, another good candidate to win in Florida. I also see North Carolina being lean Republican, as well as Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Both of those states in the Rust Belt have continued to shift to the right over the last few election cycles. If Trump ran again in 2024, I think he would finally knock down the blue wall completely. I do not see any chance of Kamala Harris building that or holding whatever semblance of the wall that Joe Biden built back in 2020 up again. If you remember, Obama won Wisconsin by about 7.7% in 2012. Then Trump won it by 0.7% in 2015. And people would say, okay, well, Trump is a fluke. Trump obviously is not the average Republican. It still is a blue state. Then in 2020, Joe Biden, still was up against Trump, but he only won Wisconsin back by 0.5%. That's 0.5%. That it shows a clear trend. And if, that statement about Trump is true, that he is that one-of-a-kind candidate, if he runs in 2024, as you see, the Rust Belt has lost electoral votes because of African Americans and communities of color moving from Pennsylvania, Michigan, down to Texas to Florida, where you see that those electoral votes increase. And I do think that trend will increase, and Donald Trump will end up winning those two states by a lean margin in 2024. Let's see if there are any lean Republican states left. I do not think that there are any ones left. I think that Minnesota will tilt to Kamala Harris. I think that she will still barely hold on to that state, but by an incredibly small margin. I also see Nebraska second, tilting Republican, with Donald Trump regaining a significant amount, but, not all of it, but a good amount of suburban women back to his side in 2024, as long as Republicans run on the key campaign issues that I discussed in my previous video. Let's take a look. I will say, I see that Kamala Harris will tilt Georgia in her direction. This is a state that has trended to the left continually over the last few election cycles, similar to, because African Americans moving to Georgia from Michigan and Pennsylvania, as you see that flip. Kamala Harris, I do think, will win the state of Georgia by an incredibly small margin. I also think that Kamala Harris will tilt New Hampshire by a small margin. The East Coast is still a Democrat area, but Harris not particularly liked. I think it'll be a similar margin to Hillary's victory in New Hampshire in 2016, which was by about 0.3%. I think that Michigan will tilt to Trump, giving him the presidency in 2024, becoming the 45th and the 47th president of the United States, defeating Kamala Harris in a bitter election cycle, winning Michigan and completing that transformation of the Rust Belt, and then probably come 2028, maybe even 2032, if the Democrats play their cards right, Minnesota still would flip in 2032, and Texas and Florida, or not Florida, but Texas will eventually flip as well, should the trends continue. I also see Donald Trump winning back Arizona and winning in Nevada. These are two states that have grown a Hispanic population, heavily Hispanic, and if those Hispanics continue to not shift, but vote for Republicans, even Trump, in increased numbers, you will see Republicans do well over there. And you will see Arizona actually go through a bit of a retransformation to maybe more of a tilt Republican state. That is yet to be seen. We'll see what happens in 2022. But I do see that demographic shift happening. Republicans have kind of saved themselves. And it is in part thanks to Trump and thanks to a lot of things that have happened for Republicans over the last few years. But there is a transformation in a lot of these low-income communities, African-American, Hispanic communities. While they still vote heavily Democratic, all Republicans really need to do is increase their support among those communities by about 5 to 10%, and it will be much harder for Democrats to win elections. And that is what Republicans are starting to do. Black vote, when I will go over the exit polls in Virginia in the next video, hopefully, you will see that black vote has slightly increased Republicans from about 10% to about 15%. Which is a slight increase, still 15%. That's abysmal with black people, but that is significantly helpful for Republicans while they get a much greater portion of the white population. With that slight increase in black support, that could cause an election to shift and will have significant ramifications for Democrats. But anyway, let me show this entire map in its full color so you can see what the map will look like. Now, it's basically 2016, but Nevada is flipped and Georgia is flipped. So not much different, as you can see. This does show the polarization of the country, but it's these minor shifts that are going to build up for Republicans and Democrats. And by the 2030s, 2040s, you will see a completely different electoral map. But anyway, Donald Trump wins this election. Am I missing something? No, I'm not. Okay, 297 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 241. A close election, but Donald Trump ends up winning it by a smaller margin than he won in 2016. Anyway, Let's move on to the 2022 Senate races. And 2022 Senate interactive map. I'm going to clear whatever they have here so we can get directly into the 2022 Senate map. Now, I will admit, some of these races, now I am pretty good with most of the races, but a few of these, like a Kansas race or Oklahoma, or not Kansas, Oklahoma, but more like the Missouri and Indiana that were close in 2016. I just don't think that they will be close again in 2020, or not 2020, but 2022. And I'm not as versed in the people who are running in those states. But anyway, let's get to safe Democrat states for the Senate. West Coast will still remain safe Democrat, along with Vermont. Ben Cardin will win, Connecticut, and whatnot in Maryland. And Illinois, I think Tammy Duckworth would win in Illinois by a safe margin as well. Anyway, let's go to safe Republican margins, or safe Republican states. That'll be Idaho, Utah with Mike Lee, North and South Dakota, I believe, will be safe. I'm just going to characterize these states as safe, as I believe that they are, including Indiana, Missouri. And I'm going to characterize Iowa as safe. Chuck Grassley will run, he said, for re-election in the state of Iowa, and I do believe he will win by a safe margin. He's incredibly popular there and has a tremendous support base. So I do think Chuck Grassley will win in the state of Iowa. I will not include Alaska yet. I'm not entirely sure. That's going to be an interesting state in 2022, something that a lot of pundits are going to look at due to the fact that Lisa Murkowski is running there. She probably will lose her Republican primary, as what happened in 2016, but then she ran again as an independent and actually won in the ranked choice voting model that they have there. So it's going to be a very, very interesting state to look at come 2022. I'm not going to characterize that as safe Republican simply because of the nuances that go on in that state. Anyway, for likely Democrat states, we have Colorado. That'll be the only likely Democrat state that I characterize, simply because, there isn't really many likely Democrat states out there that you would characterize. Likely Republican states. Ohio is a likely Republican state. Rob Portman, I believe, will do well in Ohio and will win that state, as well as in Florida. Marco Rubio, significantly popular in Florida, won in 2016 by 7.7%. And I do think he'll win by another likely margin. I have all my margins in the description below. Likely is from 5 to 15%. And I do think Marco Rubio will win again as a Hispanic, and the tremendous shift in Hispanic support in Florida, what we saw from Miami-Dade County. As I previously said, Rubio will win in Florida by a likely margin. Now, as we all know, that's all, by the way, the likely Republican states. But let's transform to North Carolina. So Richard Burr is retiring in North Carolina. There is a lot of speculation that Laura Trump would run for the North Carolina Senate race. She has said that she will not. 2022 is expected to be a red wave year. We haven't really seen a clear Republican candidate in North Carolina. We probably will see come 2022, early 2022, I would say, February, maybe January even. The race will begin to, spread out, and you will see what happens in North Carolina. But as of now, simply just based on that state and its historical, everything that's gone on historically with that state, I do think the Republican will win by a lean margin, maybe even a likely margin in North Carolina, given it's a 2022 red wave year and the trends that we have seen in North Carolina. I'm going to shift over to a lean Democrat state. I still believe that Nevada will go to be a lean Democrat state. I think it's Catherine Cortez Masto who will be winning that race. It's not Jackie Rosen because she ran in 2018 against Dean Heller. I think that Republicans have a shot in Nevada, but I do think that they should focus more on the races that Democrat races they have a better chance of flipping, like Georgia, like New Hampshire, maybe even Arizona. Another lean Republican state will be Alaska. I think the Republicans will hold on to that state regardless of Lisa Murkowski and whatever she does there. And I do think that they will be able to hold on to that state, even with the ranked choice voting system. I'm not really going to get into that because it's a very, very long discussion, and maybe we'll talk more about it as 2022 begins to form out. But we are still a year away from the election. Another lean Republican state will be New Hampshire. I think that Chris Sununu, they were both governors of New Hampshire, just like the Cuomos in New York. Chris Sununu is actually a very, very popular governor in New Hampshire. You saw the margin that he won in 2020. I believe it was by over 30 points. Now, the Senate races are much different than governor races, statewide races, but Maggie Hassan, not the most popular senator in New Hampshire. She barely won in 2016, and the polling has showed that Chris Sununu is up by a few points in New Hampshire. I think that could continue, and he could even win by about 5 to 6 points in the New Hampshire Senate race. Chris Sununu will go on to win in New Hampshire, making the first flip of the night for Republicans in 2022 Senate. Another lean Republican state will be Wisconsin. Ron Johnson will win Wisconsin by a lean margin, continuing the trends. It's a red wave year. And Wisconsin has continued to trend to the right, as I mentioned in the presidential election video. Let's continue. A tilt. Now we'll move to tilt states for Democrats and Republicans. I believe that a tilt Republican state will be Georgia. I believe that Raphael Warnock will lose his Senate race at this point in time, and that Herschel Walker will win it with an increase in black support, suburban support, and Hispanic support in Georgia. This is a reality that definitely could happen. Flipping Georgia back at least one more time to the Republicans in the Senate in 2022. I think that the two blue senators in Georgia is a bit of a fluke at the moment. I don't think that Georgia is as blue as it seems, although it is trending to the left. It is definitely a winnable state for Republicans, and Herschel Walker could definitely win in Georgia, depending on the type of campaign that he runs, defeating, Raphael Warnock in a very, very close election at this point in time. Another race, I believe the Republicans will win the state of Pennsylvania by a tilt margin, regardless of Tom Wolf running. As you say previously, I do think the Trump will campaign in the Rust Belt, at least for Republicans in 2022. We saw Obama campaign in 2018. It has become more of a thing that former presidents will campaign for their party in the future elections, and I do believe Trump will definitely continue that precedent that I guess Obama set. I guess the Bushes really didn't do much. Bill Clinton kind of obviously supported Hillary Clinton and made some rounds there, but it wasn't as big as what we saw with Obama, and I do think Trump will continue that precedent. Regardless of what you think of it, it doesn't really matter. Now, the final state is Arizona with Mark Kelly's race. We haven't really seen a Republican candidate. Now, there have actually been some Republican candidates, obviously a few of them that we know about. I forgot what the guy's name, but there was one person in Arizona who's about third in the Republican primary. I actually think he has the best chance. He's the most conservative of all of them, which may seem a bit strange, but I think I'm sorry, I forgot what his name is. If you live in Arizona, you could please let me know. Definitely more of a conservative person when he said, he was opposed to the draft for women in the United States military that was passed in the Congress bill. More conservative. And he has a very good chance at being Mark Kelly, but we'll have to see how the primary goes. And then there are some other good people in Arizona. I need to actually look more into Arizona. I don't know that as well. That are good for the Republican side. However, I think that Mark Kelly will be able to hold on to that state by a tilt margin. At the moment, we'll have to see what the polls are like, but I think that Mark Kelly will be able to hold on to Arizona. Mark Kelly is popular in Arizona, not more popular than Kyrsten Sinema, I guess more because he's remained loyal to the Democrat Party, but he will hold on to that state at the moment. I have to look more into the Republican candidates in Arizona, so forgive me for that. I am going to look more into that, and I will probably gain a lot of knowledge as we go into 2022 as it's more focused, and as the campaigns start to settle and the people start to clear out of the races. So we have a more definitive view of who will be running in those races. But anyway, this is the current Senate map that I see. Republicans picking up 2 seats in the Senate, making it a 52-48 Senate. Republicans take back the United States Senate 52-48. Now I'm actually going to show you my House election prediction. Now I didn't go into every single race, but that prediction is on my website. So if you just go to one of my videos, this is my Phil Murphy video, and go onto my website, I will show you my House election prediction. Let's see, can this load? One moment. Okay, well, that's strange. Let me see if I can get it up on this. This is actually the area that I have my website at. Please stay with me for a moment as I try and pull up my House prediction. Otherwise, here, I have to go to edit the site. And then as I pull up my House prediction, yeah, we're going to be going over the Senate prediction, but I have to wait for this to load at the moment, unfortunately. We will, as it loads, we can look at this is some of the exit polls for Virginia that I will be going over. And in a later video, probably tomorrow or in a few days, discussing the demographic votes in Virginia. Can this please load? Please, 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 please. Now, I don't have every single county, picked out red and blue for the Republicans in the House. I just have the actual number that I predict. between the Republicans and the Democrats. Can this load already? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is, all right, here we go. I just have to hit publish, and then it will pull up my site's link. Come on. All right, this is kind of crazy. This needs to work. Okay, view site. If this doesn't load, then there's nothing else that all right, here we go. The site has been pulled up. Now let me just scroll down to the prediction. This is my 2022 House election prediction. I have Republicans getting 237 House seats to Democrats 198. This is pretty much the same thing that the Democrats had from their majority in 2018. It was about 230 something, and the Republicans were high 190s, early 200 or low 200s. This is the House prediction, and as I just released my video about the Republicans very likely now to retake the House in 2022. This is my prediction now with the polarization of the country. I don't see Republicans getting like 250 seats, but it yet is a significant majority, about a 40-seat majority, and a good one for Republicans. But anyway, that's pretty much all I really wanted to show you. So let me just scroll to the top of the website and whatnot. The link for the website's in the description, so if you're interested in looking at it, then by all means go check it out. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This is my House, my House, Senate, and presidential predictions in 2022 and 2024. And I look forward to making much more videos. But this is another, I guess we're now 2 months since, actually 2.5 months since the last video that I made regarding the presidential and Senate predictions all in one video. So I wanted to remake that again in November. We'll probably do another one in January or, February, December, anywhere around there. But anyway, once more, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment below your thoughts on my prediction, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you all once more so much for watching, and have a great day.